Erica, that was just absolutely gorgeous. Thank you again for sharing that with all of us here tonight. Our next speaker is Dan Wykoff. He is the Chief Financial and Operating Officer at Branch Technology. If y'all aren't familiar with Branch, they do large-scale 3D printing. It's really amazing. Buildings, building facades. They actually, he told me, used a scan of the moon recently and printed a replica of the lunar surface. It's incredible. At Branch, Dan says he works with 50 individuals, 32 of which are humans, and the other 18 are robots. At home, he has 4 children in elementary, middle, high school, and college. I think they may be here tonight. And Dan has a really extensive bucket list. There's a lot he wants to do in this life. Hike the Appalachian Trail, read 1,000 books, visit 100 countries. He hasn't done these things yet, but he is working on it. I'm going to give a TED Talk to that list, and he can check that off shortly. So let's welcome Dan Wykoff to the stage.
Stories are light, and light is precious in a world so dark. This profound statement from Katie Camillo reminds us that we're all living a story, our life's narrative. Each of our stories is unique, including the plot twists. What's the story arc of your life? Is it a romantic comedy, an epic tale of good versus evil, or perhaps a horror story filled with the monsters from your past? Every good story has a plot, maybe plot twist, but certainly character development. So how is your life's narrative shaping you? How are you growing and developing through the plot twists of your life? When you enter my office, what you'll see is a mostly blank wall with one small sign hanging on it. What is your only comfort in life and in death? This question interrogates me every day, demanding an answer to this profound question that relates to the realities of my life's narrative. What is my only comfort in life and death? How would you answer this question? What's your only comfort in life? What about in death? How do you handle your failures, your broken relationships, your seeming lack of purpose? How do you deal with not accomplishing your goals, or when you sense that you're mediocre at best? How do you remain hopeful when there's so much war and injustice and decay all around you, and if you're honest, within you as well? Many can't answer this question, and those that do often answer it this way: there is no comfort. I'm just living out my purposeless days in this life until I run out of them. And then I'm simply gone. Friends, if you aren't sure how you'd answer this question, what is your only comfort in life and in death? Let's connect tonight. The answer I have will be helpful for you, just as it has been for me and for countless others. I want to unpack this, but we're going to go to a very unlikely source: punctuation. Yep, that's right. The semicolon and the ampersand. Tonight, you're going to learn to love both of these symbols, not because of their role in grammar, forgive me, all you English majors, but because of the significant meaning they have to those who are suffering, and the deep meaning they have to those who are caring for those who are suffering. Take a few seconds and think about someone you know who is suffering. There's a 100% chance that everyone in here can think of someone, because sadly and frustratingly, this world is so full of brokenness. So consider this person and consider their pain. What's behind it? Maybe they're suffering mental pain from feeling like they're not worth much in this world, or like they've failed one too many times to keep going. Maybe their pain is rooted in a breakup, or a divorce, or some other relational turmoil. Maybe their body is being ravaged by the C word that the doctor recently told them about after telling them to sit down to hear the news. Whatever the cause of their pain, these people, our friends and family and loved ones, they may think that suffering is the end of their story. They may believe that suffering is the only story in their life's narrative. They may believe that their life's narrative has gone on too long. And just like every story eventually comes to an end, they believe it's time for their story to come to an end, preferably sooner rather than later. It's just too hard to carry on. Enter the beautiful semicolon. The period stacked on top of the comma. What English professors will tell you is that this highly undervalued punctuation mark is used to join two independent clauses without using a coordinating conjunction like and. Okay, in other words, it's used to take one statement that could stand on its own and connect it to another statement that could also stand on its own. These two statements are often surprisingly connected, each giving the other a richer narrative when connected together instead of alone. That person you thought of a few minutes ago who's suffering, or maybe you, when you're facing discord or disappointment or frustration, these people they've got to answer the same questions that I've got to answer. What is my only comfort in life and death? And they may be thinking that what's needed is a period, or maybe an exclamation mark. But friends, that's exactly where a proverbial semicolon is needed. I am suffering, semicolon. Joy also exists. Would you ever get a punctuation mark tattooed on your body? If so, would the semicolon be the winner of your grammatically sophisticated body art? Well, that's exactly what a server at a local restaurant did. You can see it up there. She has the semicolon tattooed right on her arm. Tattoos are really interesting. I've found that anytime you ask someone about their tattoo, they'll gladly give you the story behind it or the meaning behind it. Tattoos are essentially invitations to start a conversation, so it was hard to resist inquiring about this unique tattoo. She was very gracious to give me a picture of it, but also to tell some of her story. This young woman had been in an abusive relationship. It was clearly causing her pain at multiple levels. This destructive relationship, it was her life story, and she came to believe that taking her own life was that final exclamation mark needed to end her story of suffering. She simply could not carry on. Mercifully, she discovered the semicolon. She told me that the semicolon is used as a symbol of hope in suicide prevention, especially when coupled with that healthy heartbeat sign. People struggling with suicidal ideation also face the same question. What is my only comfort in life and death? And they need the same deep hope that all of us need, that whatever life's current chapter is, there is more to the story. She had a standalone narrative. I am in a relationship causing almost unceasing pain. But she discovered another standalone narrative. There is hope when I look outside of myself. These two statements connected for her in beautiful ways and surprising ways, and crafted a lovely narrative in her life. No dramatic exclamation mark needed. I am experiencing pain, semicolon. Joy also exists. Because this was so powerfully at work in her life, she literally tattooed the semicolon right there on her arm for all to see. A daily reminder that there is comfort in life and in death, not just seeming comfort through death. Years ago, a friend introduced me to the ampersand. Now, this is the other highly undervalued punctuation mark, okay? You're going to fall in love with it just as I know you're huge fans of the semicolon now. He told me this amazing story about his life. He entered a dark chapter in his life, okay? It all started with a toxic workplace. He attempted to defend a coworker from false accusations, and then he himself was falsely accused of wrongdoing. This led to a big court battle, and it ended up with job loss and economic hardship. At the same time, he and his wife lost their twin children at birth. They were born about 4 months premature and died in their arms only 10 minutes after being born. And the monster of addiction reared its ugly head, and that led to criminal charges. Now get this, all of this storm happened in the same 2-year period. Imagine the huge negative impact this had on his career, on his marriage, and on his own sense of self-worth. Now, if this was your friend and he came to you and said, "How am I supposed to carry on?" what would you say to him? Or put yourself in his shoes. What if this was your life's narrative? What if this was the chapter that you were experiencing? How would you carry on? To what or to whom would you turn to find comfort? He told me the rest of the story, and in doing so, he introduced me to the ampersand. It had become a very significant thing for him, taken on a significant and deep meaning. Why? Because like the semicolon, the ampersand indicates that there's more to the story. It gives the reader anticipation. Okay, author, you just wrote that one thing, and then you put an ampersand, and so now I'm expecting that you're going to tell me the rest of the story. You're going to help me see the big picture. That's exactly the point that my friend embraced. The ampersand is a reminder that while one thing can certainly be true, another thing can also be true, even if it seems like a paradox. I am suffering, and there is hope. I have failed as a father, and I can learn to be a great dad. That addiction overtook my life, and it is not what defines me. That person broke my heart, and there is someone even better out there for me. This is a both-and mentality about our both-and reality. Pain is real, and so is joy. Darkness exists, and so does light. Now, it's a delight to report that my friend and that local restaurant server are both doing well these days. Both embraced that both-and reality, that there was more to their lives, moving through the semicolons and ampersands of their lives. Both carried on by clinging to that hope that whatever their current chapter was, there was more to the story. Every morning when I see that question, what is my only comfort in life and in death? My answer is, and always will be, that I am not my own, but belong, body and soul, in this life and in death, to the author, the great storyteller and scriptwriter of my story, who loves me deeply and gives me the comfort I need both in this life and in the life to come. Pain is real, semicolon. Joy is real. Weeping is here for the night, and joy comes in the morning. Now here's your call to action. I want you to remember this, friends. You may be the very character needed in your friend or loved one's life to enter into their story, bring them joy, and point them to the light when they're in their chapter of darkness. And remember this too. It may not always seem like it, but your story is light. And light is precious in a world so dark. Thank you for listening.